Morning Wave with Sam Lehoko.
Wave after wave, wave after wave.
9 to 11 a.m. weekdays on Mix 93.8.
Right, good morning to you. Happy Monday. It is the Morning Wave all the way until 11 a.m. Of course, every single Monday we are inspired and we are given tools. And today we're specifically talking about self-awareness. Candace, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, ladies. I'm fantastic. Thank you. How are you?
Fantastic. Thank you.
Great.
After the weekend we've had, we're still on a nice high, which is great.
100%.
So, of course, Candace, you came into studio last week and you gave us a nice introduction as to what Grit Grow is. But for those of the listeners who missed it, what is Grit Grow?
So Grit Grow is really the specific tools that we miss, which helps us to be resilient and strong so that when challenges do come our way, we're fully equipped and we can roll with the punches.
Nice and easy.
Skill set to
Short and
acquire
sweet.
that benefits you. Amazing.
So, Candace, of course, I mentioned earlier that today we're talking about self-awareness. So let's start with what that is specifically.
Self-awareness is the ability to tune in to the physical feeling in your body. So our bodies talk to us in the form of our emotions. And self-awareness is the noticing the emotions, noticing the physical feeling in our bodies.
That's quite interesting. But why do we ignore these kind of feelings? Isn't it something that you would expect to lean into?
Feeling your negative emotions is very uncomfortable, and so we avoid the uncomfortable. If we grew up in a home where negative emotions were discouraged, like frustration and anger and sadness, then it's going to be even harder to notice them and feel them.
So would that be something like stop crying, stop crying, stop crying?
I'm counting to 3, and if you haven't stopped crying, I'm going to give you something to cry about.
Yeah, I know that one very well.
Yeah.
But then that basically leads me to my next question, which is why is it important to feel these emotions and actually express ourselves in a particular way?
When you notice the feelings and you feel them and you let them pass, the benefits are endless. So you feel like a whole new human being. It's like a weight has been lifted off your shoulders. In fact, anxiety is just suppressed sadness. So I like to say to people, if they're struggling with anxiety, when last did you have a good cry? To which they usually say, I can't even remember.
Yeah.
So when you feel it and you let it pass, you feel like a new human being.
It is quite a thing, though, to actually lean into those feelings, because I think a lot of people, especially men, they are often taught to discard those kind of feelings. But what generally happens when we ignore these kind of emotions that come up?
I love to use the analogy of a 2-year-old, and you two will be able to relate. When a toddler is looking for attention,
Yes.
if you ignore them, do they get louder or do they go away? So that's exactly how our emotions work. They just get louder, they fester, and they come out in the most destructive ways. So you'll see it when somebody cuts somebody off in traffic and the next minute that person is ready to literally kill them. Another way that we ignore them is we suppress them. We suppress them with alcohol, with drugs, but that's just perpetuating the problem because it's making it worse when you do finally need to feel it.
Absolutely.
Numbing it.
And I loved what you said earlier. Well, I think it's important to also recognize is that often it's this thing of projection, so we're suppressing all sorts of feelings and then we just, it's like a jar, filling it up, and eventually it just explodes, which can usually be very destructive, very chaotic, very all over the place, etc.
And come out a lot bigger than it could have when you had addressed it at an earlier stage.
100%. And one of the things that I actually spoke to my mum about quite recently was this thing of equanimity, right? Where you're just super zen. No matter what feedback you're getting, good and bad, you're just responding. Firstly, pausing and taking a break, and then responding in just a really calm, beautiful way. And I think that brings me to my next question, Candace, of how do we express ourselves and how do we unpack emotions where it's not too destructive and too manic?
Yeah.
I think this is the most important part, to give people a specific how. A tool so that they know how to feel their emotions, because they know it's beneficial, they know that it's not an option, but where do they even start?
Yes.
So if you'd allow me to share with you my own personal way of how I have learned to express the 2 biggest for me is anger and sadness.
Yes.
So I feel an emotion coming up, so it's a physical feeling, so either my breath goes away or my heart starts beating faster. Maybe a bit of a headache, tense muscles, sore tummy. And then I remove myself from the situation and I just close my eyes and I take some really deep conscious breaths. And in that space, I scan my body. So I scan my mental space, my physical space, and my emotional space. And I say, so what am I feeling? And then I'll say, okay, you're feeling sad. And then I have to give myself a bit of a pep talk. So, okay, Candace, you are going to feel this emotion and then it's going to pass. So I focus on how I'm going to feel afterwards, because there's a very fine line between becoming the emotion and feeling the emotion. When you become the emotion, you get depressed and you sit in that space for days. When you feel the emotion, it's a few minutes. So then I allow myself to cry, and then it's a few minutes, and it literally, as fast as what it's arrived, it just leaves. It just leaves your body. And then whatever that physical feeling, that pain, that headache, that tense shoulders, it's gone. It's gone. And then the other one is the anger. So I don't know how you were raised, but anger was not allowed. You're not allowed to feel angry, but that's a real emotion. We feel anger. So I've been in boardroom meetings where I've done this, where I remove myself and I just go and feel it wherever I am. So it might be in the bathroom, pushing hard against a wall, getting the physical anger, lying on my bed, having my own 2-year-old temper tantrum, screaming and shouting, but it passes so quickly and it is so healthy.
You know, these sound like really beneficial tools, and I'm glad that you've given us some working examples. But it's I don't know, I sometimes feel when I do allow myself to have a little bit of a rage and a temper tantrum, that it could possibly go into like, oh, it's just riled me up further, it's just done the best thing, and like your body actually has a physical response to that.
Yes.
How long should you give yourself to actually learn those skills to quieten your mind down and get a hold of it?
That's fantastic. I think that the problem with that is you're going back into your thoughts. So it's about staying in your body.
Okay.
So you've gone into your thoughts and now you're giving yourself all the reasons why you should be feeling the anger, which is just going to make it last longer. So to stay in your body and try to not think about the reasons. The other thing we do is we try to fix it because it feels so uncomfortable. So like, okay, so if I just do this, if I just go and take this out on that person, then it will go away. So that's not what this is about. This is about letting the physical feeling come and go.
So I think that brings me to my next question, Candace, is what can we do for the next couple of days in terms of the emotions, the feelings, dealing with them, not suppressing any of them?
Great. So you're going to go onto our Facebook and our Instagram pages, and I've set it out literally one small activity a day. You're going to get yourselves a journal and you're going to do what the activity says. And remember, if you're not sure, go back. There'll be recordings of this session to make sure that you know exactly the how of how to do it. But it's small little chunks. Once you do it once, you're going to go, oh my goodness, that wasn't so bad. In actual fact, that feels amazing. And that's what's going to keep you coming back for more. So bite-sized chunks.
Nice.
I love that.
Laurie?
No, it's just such a beneficial thing, and something that keeps on coming into my mind with what you're saying is it's a quote. It said, if it's not going to bother you in 5 years' time, you shouldn't give it more than 5 minutes consideration. And that really does, because it kind of gives you a time frame and you realize in the bigger picture that this isn't actually going to change the trajectory of life.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I teach people that they can let things go. People don't know that.
Yeah.
And then we sing the Frozen song.
Wasn't expecting that. But I think the lesson for me is that it is important to feel. It is necessary. Feelings aren't facts. They come and they go. And I always tell my children, feelings are like clouds. They come for a little bit and then they pass by as well. Or visitors.
Yeah.
I don't know if that works for you. Visitors also come. Sometimes they don't leave. I don't know. So maybe that's not a good example. But it is important to feel. And what's also important is to listen to our bodies.
Yeah.
When we're feeling the tension, when we're feeling the stress, when we're feeling exhausted, what is it, and to listen to our bodies as well. And also with me, because I struggled with anger for a very long time. So it's now about, how do I deal with that emotion? What do I do with it?
Well, you can go to get all the daily information on Facebook and Instagram, and tune into the Coach's Corner every Monday at 9:30.
Absolutely. Candace, thank you so much for joining us again this morning. Of course, we are directing our listeners to the Facebook page. And then, of course, we have our workshops on Saturday, isn't it?
That's correct. So the next one is on the 24th of September. at DC Coffee Shop, and that's really where the bulk happens. So I really want to urge people to go on to Grit-Grow and book their tickets, because it's just 2 hours, and we've had such beautiful feedback from our last session last Saturday.
Nice.
Awesome.
Candace Best in studio every single Monday. Of course, you can head on to the Facebook page as well. And Candace, if anybody wants to get hold of you quickly.
Yes, straight through our website again, Grit-Grow, and they can just fill in the contact form.
Lovely stuff. Thanks, Candace. We'll see you same time, same place next week.
Thank you.